So, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to my very thoughtful world. It is Monday, and I like to start the Monday with Mindset Monday. And today, what's been on my heart is professional women. And listen, this weekend I attended an amazing conference, the Millionaire Nursing CEO Conference, which is hosted by my coach in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I was surrounded by women who are balling, like professional women who are making the money or have the mindset to even earn more money. They're struggling in relationships. And so I really wanted to talk to that because I think that's happening more than we talk about. And I really want women to win in all what I call life zones. That is in your finances, in your relationships, in your health. Like we can have an abundant life. And to me, abundant means fully embracing and having all the things that God says that we can have. So today, I just want to come in there and just speak to those areas where I understand that you may be winning and excelling in your professional life, like you are making the money that you want to make, or at least you have a plan and goals, and you know how to get there. You can project exactly how much you want to make, and then you are the kind of woman who know how to take action to make it happen. Now, if you're honest, maybe there's that area in relationships that you struggle with because you are a boss and you are a leader, and you oftentimes are in your leadership mindset where you don't know how to relax into allowing a man, if that is your preference, to be in your space. You don't know how to kind of take off your boss hat when you are trying to build relationships. And that could be for a few reasons. It could be because you've been hurt in the past. And so that boss in you is trying to protect who you are and trying to cover and trying to show up, bad, like no one is going to hurt you. However, like I tell people, when you put a block on your heart to protect so-called bad things from happening coming in, you're also blocking love from getting out, and you're also blocking more love from coming in. So you can't just put up a wall and think that if I have up my wall, no one can hurt me. Guess what? If you have up your wall, no one can love you either. And I want you to win in love, and I know that you can. So to this morning, in my short time, I want to share with you three things that you can begin to do to tap into that better part of yourself, that feminine part of yourself, and be able to expand in the fullness of the woman that you've been created to be, so that you can begin to attract and connect with the love that is working very hard to come into your life. The reason I say that the love is working hard to come into your life is because I believe that if you have a desire, and if it is good, if it is noble, if it's praiseworthy, then God gives you that desire. And I meet so many women who their desire is to be in relationship, is to be married, but it's not happening. So why is that? Why is that? And I believe one of the reasons is because you're unclear about your values. Many times when I ask people, what are your values? The first thing they say is, I value my family. What does that mean? But I want you to understand your values are so much more. And when you learn to dig in and get clear about your values, maybe you value integrity, perhaps you value honesty, maybe you value beauty, and that's something you never thought about. Then we begin to dig in. When I teach my clients their values and help them walk through that process, we begin to dig in. How are these values showing up in your life? And so many times, if we say things like, I value honesty, because when you want to be in a relationship, you want to be in a relationship with someone you can trust and that is honest. But then if we ourselves are walking outside of our own value, then we will attract to us the very thing that we're moving in. Life and life and who we are and our mind, our thoughts, it's energy. And like attracts like. So perhaps you're drawing to yourself from your unaware mind the very thing you don't want because you're not clear about what it is you do want. And one way to get clear about that is being clear about your values. When you begin to align who you are with what you value most, you will attract the very thing to yourself that you truly desire. So that's the first thing I want you to think about and to get in connection with. The second thing I really need you to understand is I need you to understand the importance of communication. Now, I know you've heard it 1,000 times, and perhaps you think you're an effective communicator. Communication is a two-way path. It is not just saying everything you want to say, but it's also listening and listening with the ear to learn, to gather information, to understand, not listening so that you're prepared to say what you want to say, not listening so that you have a good comeback, not listening to prove your point, but listening for understanding. Something different happens when you hear with understanding, when you can relate to what the person is saying. And then you can speak back to them that you hear. I hear your hurt. I hear your disappointment. I hear your pain. When you can relate to them from that perspective. But also learning how to communicate your emotional needs and knowing how to clearly communicate not just what you desire, what you want, but what you emotionally need to feel supported, to feel important, to feel seen, to feel connected and feel validated. When you know how to communicate that from a place of abundance, meaning that you're not running on empty. Listen, anytime we're running on empty, imagine this. This is an example of what I mean when I say running on empty. Imagine that you are hungry. And they call it hangry, right? You get so hungry that it makes you angry. When you're in that emotional state, you don't communicate effectively. You are not necessarily the kindest person you can be when you're hungry. Would you agree to that? And so I want you to know when you're emotionally hungry, you're communicating the same way. You're all over the place. You're maybe loud for no reason, or you're angry and you don't know how to express the anger. And you may even hear yourself say things like, "You understand what I'm saying?" Or "You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?" And the person around you, they hear your words, but they don't know what you're saying. And it's not because they don't care. It's not because they lack effort. It's because your communication is not spoken with clarity. Your communication is not effective in truly expressing what it is that you are working very hard for them to understand. And that is because you could be running from scarcity. And when you're running from scarcity, again, just like when you're hungry, you're not clear minded, you're not calm, you're not patient, you don't have kindness. And the same thing happens when you're emotionally hungry. So I want you to, one, learn how to fill up your own emotional cup, learn how to communicate what is in that cup so that you can use words to articulate exactly what it is you're thinking, feeling, emoting, expressing, so that the people you're talking to know on the first time what it is you mean. And that you're so clear and you're so emotionally sound and you're no longer speaking out of your scarcity, but out of your abundance, that you can do it with peace and simply ask the question, what did you hear me say? And when you do that, you invite them into the conversation to explain to them how they heard you. Now, they may not repeat back to you the exact same thing you said, but you will get an understanding of how they experience you when you simply ask, what did you just hear me say? And allow them the space to hear you the way they hear you, not be right or wrong, but the goal is to be clear, to create connection, and to have understanding. If you begin to do that, you can change the level of relationships that you're having. And you then begin to attract the right one. Because again, if you are chaotic, if you are confused, if you are all over the place with your thinking, if you are emotionally running out of scarcity, you are attracting men who, one, they themselves may be in that same emotional state. And so you guys are coming to each other just a total hot mess, and no one is standing in the relationship who can stand outside of the emotions, outside of the chaos, and speak clearly to one another. And then the last thing that I really want you to understand and get in order to create these relationships, because you are a boss woman, you are clear, you know how to set goals, you know how to go about manifesting and creating the financial life you want, but you're struggling with it in your relationships. And that could be because you don't know how to set relationship boundaries. See, when you're a goal setter, when you know how to effectively schedule out your plan for the year, and there are some people who have a master plan for their year, who know where they're going to be in 6 months, who know at least they know how to project where they're trying to go. If you're that kind of woman, I know that you're smart. I know that you know how to set business boundaries. You know how to tell people, I can't talk to you during this time because I have this to do. However, you may struggle with that in relationships. You may struggle with knowing how to set clear boundaries when it comes to that intimacy, relationship, that level of connection. And because when you run from scarcity, right, you're afraid of missing the call. You're afraid of not going to the place. You're afraid of saying, no, I can't be there because you think, well, if I do that, maybe he's going to think. And you go into the mindset of trying to read what he's going to do. You want to know the outcomes because you are so driven and you are used to being able to project your outcomes and hit them. You're trying to do that with a human. I promise you that's never going to work. But what you can do is you can establish your relationship boundaries. You can have clarity about where they stop and where you begin, and where you begin and where they stop. Because what not having boundaries do is it make you begin to honestly see these men in your lives as a project. They become the next thing on your list. They become if they do this, this, and this, then we can get here. So when you begin to see the men in your life as projects, you're already creating a serious situation. You're already putting yourself in a position of honestly failure in the relationship because no person wants to be considered a project. Now, if you guys are working together and knowing how to communicate effectively and are in alignment with your values, together you can create a life where you have a project, but you shouldn't be the project. I want you to get that. So listen, if you are that woman, you're watching this and you're like, Kanisha's talking to me. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to go to my website, berrythoughtfullife.com, and I want you to book a free consultation call. Let's see if we can work together to get you not only like you're already making the money, you already know how to be a boss there, but let's see if we can get you to that place where you're creating real, authentic connections and creating the type of relationships that you want. Secondly, if you're not quite ready to talk to me one-on-one, join my free masterclass. It's happening on September 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about being from stuck to unstoppable in your relationships because I understand that, again, I am finding myself in rooms full of successful, beautiful, powerful women who aren't in relationships. And then there's a little bit of almost bitterness about that. And I know that life is not happening that you get bitter. It's happening so that you can get better. And all that takes is a new way of thinking. So join me on my free masterclass September 12th. Go to my website right now and sign up. I can't wait to see you there. I hope you have an amazing Monday and manifest the love life that you really want. Talk to you soon.